keep an open mind, a mind for the possibility. What if? Now here's your host, Sean Walker.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you may be. I am Sean Walker, and you are listening to the Midnight Highway Radio. Tonight, Joe Montaldo. Mr. Montaldo is founder and national director of I.C.A.R, International Community for Alien Research. I.C.A.R has close to 7,000 abduction cases on file. Mr. Montaldo has been a researcher/investigator of alien contact, abductions, and experiences for over 20 years. He is the owner of the Paranormal Radio Network and the host of Wake Up USA, a UFO study talk show. Guys and girls, this is one show you don't want to miss. When we come back, it's Mr. Montaldo. We're going to be talking about aliens. We will be right back. Alright, well, welcome back, everybody. This is Sean Walker, your host on the Midnight Highway Radio. Tonight it's Joe Montaldo. Joe, welcome to the show, man. How you doing tonight?
Thanks, man. Sean, a long time no talk to you, man.
I'm telling you, what's it been? 2007, 2008, something like that, right?
I didn't realize it had been that long, to be honest with you, man. I forget how old the station is
Yeah, I actually was talking to somebody in the room right now, and they said they were just on your show. So I'm like, well, who hasn't been on Joe's show?
Well, yeah, that must be Erica, because I see her in the room there with you. Yeah, Erica's a great guest, by the way, man. You got to have her on.
Yeah,
she's well informed. We had a lot of fun with her. She's been, I think, twice actually, huh, Erica?
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, I think so. Well, I've been on last 2 years. I've been pretty much doing mostly contactee stuff. We've been doing other things, but we've been mostly working abduction stuff, contact stuff, awakening stuff, really. Now, there's so many contactees seem to be waking up right now that we seem to have a lot going on. So we've been working more along those lines. As a matter of fact, I met 2 new ones tonight while I was waiting to come on the show, which I found interesting. Off of another radio show host, from another radio show host I know. It's crazy how it works, man.
Well, let me get into this. Anybody out there listening, that's going to be coming to my website, here in the Archive Show, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, explain a little bit more about yourself, and that way people could get a little bit more familiar with Joe Montaldo.
I live in New Orleans, in case y'all want to know that. Most haunted city in the United States, which is a lot of fun. Not as much UFO activity here as there is other places. I've been in the field for 30 years. I've been working publicly for about 15 years. And when I wasn't public, I was with MUFON. I was MUFON for about 10 years, maybe 12 years. I was a senior field investigator for them, and my wife was a senior analyst for them. And we did a lot of stuff with them. We worked a lot with them. They investigated some of our cases. But frankly, I found MUFON to be not really conducive to abductions and contactees. They didn't really embrace it. It's not what they do. They chase UFOs and sightings, which is good. I mean, I don't want to take it away from them. Somebody needs to be doing that. But, in this case, they just wasn't, just too much information to just let it go. So I found it kind of stagnating for me in that, and a lot of my fellow friends and other members were bitching that MUFON had become the black hole of Calcutta. Everything you put in just disappeared, and you never got anything back, which was true. So I left. Well, I didn't actually leave at the time. I happened to have been on Yahoo one night, make a long story short, and I walked into this chat room, and this guy was on there ranting and raving about this alien stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I mean, he's giving all this information out like he's God or something, and I'm like, it made me realize right then and there that there was a need that needed to be filled. So over a period of time, after meeting some people, co-founded the UFO Alien Phenomena Group, which co-founded the Alien Enigma site, which in turn created the International Community for Alien Research, which is where I work with them today. It just was an amazing journey to get there, to be honest with you. Since then, and see, I got to update you. I host UFO Undercover now, and we're up around 13, 14, 15,000 contactees that we've actually interviewed. And it's a weird thing, but like on the blood type study, more than almost 4,800 people, might even be over 5,000 now, these are contactees that have taken the blood type study. There's been another additional 3,000 people on top of that take the blood type study.
Now, what is that, the blood type study?
Well, we've been looking for a way to find contactees. We're looking for something that E.T. would be looking for. Why is E.T. interested in a particular person? What is it about that family line or that lineage that makes those extraterrestrials interested in them? See, we're trying to find abductees and contactees before they even know that they are. We're looking because we talk to a lot of people, man. I mean, a lot of people.
Oh, I know that.
Always constant thinking. So, what the blood type study has taught us is, one, ET likes Rh negative blood. On average, about 68%, almost 70% now of all the contactees that have taken a study are Rh negative. Now, I don't want to take anything away because there are Rh positives in the study, 30%. So I don't want anybody to think that's just what they're looking for, but they are looking at Rh negative blood. And out of the Rh negative, almost 80% of them, or about 74% of them, are O negative, which is the only universal donor blood type on the planet. It's the only blood that can be given to everyone. The only O negative people can only take O negative blood. They can't take any other blood, but they can donate their blood to everybody else on the planet. It's also the purest blood on the planet. And it is kind of coincidental that 70% of those are contactees. So we're learning, and they're green-eyed. But I don't want people to get the wrong idea here and say, oh, you got to be green-eyed, O negative to be a contactee. No, you don't, okay? You can be AB positive with brown hair and blue eyes, or brown hair and brown eyes, but it doesn't really. Okay, I just don't want people to get the idea. Yeah, ET seems to be interested in this, but it's not the only thing that's going on. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea here. The RH negative thing is a peculiar thing because until 25,000 years ago, maybe 35,000 years ago, RH negative blood did not exist on this planet. And RH, by the way, means rhesus monkey. If you're RH positive, you share a common gene with the rhesus monkey. RH negative doesn't, by the way. They don't share that common gene with the monkey. What the hell that means, I have no idea. But prior to 25,000, 35,000 years ago, there was no negative. And negative was actually a bad thing. It wasn't really a good thing at first because we had to come up with the D-anti gene. Oh, I never can say that right. Anyway, back in the day, they used to have to give women in shots for having children because a negative and a positive would kill the baby. It would be stillborn or something along those lines, and they came up with the antigenogen gene. Oh man, I can't say that tonight.
Oh, don't feel bad, man.
Anyway,
believe me.
they came up with that so that they could give people shots. That was the whole reason why people used to have to get blood tested to have babies. That they wouldn't have the wrong blood test. Now these days, we've somehow or another we've grown past that. Maybe the contactee population is big enough in their normal population that we've grown past that now, but. We don't need that. To the one that said I'm O positive, brown eyes, I got to tell you, I got a lot of contactees that are O positive, brown eyes. So don't hang yourself out in the wind, my friend.
You know, I don't even know what my blood type is, and that's probably a bad thing, isn't
Everybody should know that because if you're ever bleeding on the side of the street and
yeah.
saying, what blood do I need to give you? Well, you see what they can give you now. It doesn't matter because they can give you O negative. That's trick. Now before they couldn't, but now they can.
You know what's a pretty powerful thought here, Joe, is the last time we spoke, when I actually used to broadcast on your network, we were talking about the old 2012, and you're like, well, we're all going to know in about 6 years. Here we are, man. Now it's months away. 2012. I don't think the world's going to end.
I don't either, but I said when we talked about it, I said that I've always taken the literal interpretation of the Mayan calendar, and it says, literally, the end of life as we know it and the start of the golden age. Okay, you can't have disaster, calamity, and bullshit if you're going to have the start of the golden age immediately.
Right.
It's an impossibility. So for me, and if it is true, the only thing I could see that would truly trigger this is look at the world right now. It's shit in a handbag. So if this was truly going to happen, then it would have to be an extraterrestrial intervention where they just showed up in mass on 12/21/12. And then that would actually do it. If they were here to help us, I mean, if they weren't here bombing us and blowing up, and they're saying, okay, look, humans, we're here. We want to be your friends. We're going to help you with technology and medical things and stuff like this. We're not going to give you no guns or anything, but we're going to help you with the rest of this stuff. Well, yes, that would be the end of life as we know it, and it would truly be the start of the golden age because now we would be living longer and healthier and stronger and faster. So that would fit the Mayan prophecy.
Right.
Nothing else really does because my New Age friends get mad at me, but there's no way to have a consciousness shift with the 7 billion people that are on the planet today without some kind of outside intervention. There's too many people hating each other on this planet. So if ET pops up, then we all have something to be united about. Wow, there's something else other than us. Oh, well, humans better get along now because guess what? We're not alone in the universe, and we may get our little heinies kicked. So it puts things in a different perspective.
Yeah, and quickly, too, about the Mayan calendar, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you heard about this, a Boston University student or some college student discovered something about the calendar that actually extended the calendar even 1 billion years from December 21st, 2012, and that's recent. That was Yahoo News today.
Yeah, that's funny you said that because the original thing when I first got into this and started looking at the Mayan calendar, which was two decades ago, we realized that the Mayan calendar was done on a Gregorian calendar basis. Well, the Mayans had a 14-month year, 30 days, 14 months. So when you start adding that extra month up over the last 2,500 years, it changes the date significantly, forward or backwards, meaning that this could have already happened. The Golden Age could have been triggered 100 years ago or 200 years ago when America was founded. Or it could be 100, 200 years in the future. And like you said, it could even be further. So it's even hard to even say that the actual date means anything. But like you said a few minutes ago, we're only 6 months out. I'm thinking Obama gets reelected and the aliens come wipe us all out in Ronnie. Oh, did I say that on the air? I'm sorry. Damn, I didn't mean to say that.
We're underground, man. It doesn't matter what you say. Now, let me ask you this, though. I mean, this might tie into the 2012 scenario. UFO sightings are occurring at an escalating rate. There's no denying it. They're in the sky. YouTube's out there. Everybody can see it. Sure, there is Adobe After Effects. There is Photoshop. But the authentic versions of these sightings, why do you think everything is escalating?
Well, because it's not actually escalating. I talked with some friends of mine on MUFON and Peter Davenport, and we went and looked through Larry Hatch's stuff, and what we found is more people are looking up. But the amount of contacts are still the same as they were, basically per capita, I should say, as they were in 2000. I mean, they've grown, but they haven't grown more than the per capita population of the planet has grown. But what has happened, largely in part of 911, is people don't look at their shoes anymore when they're walking. They're actually looking forward or looking up. And so many people, thanks to the smartphones, actually have video cameras and cameras with them all the time. So it's not so much that they're showing up more, we've just gotten a little bit smarter about what we're looking for. Because frankly, the busiest era that we know of was like 500 years ago. Back in, it was a Middle Eastern period. Literally in London, they showed up almost every day for an entire decade. And then there's another section in Rome. They said that they used to come by and visit weekly for over 100 years. So we haven't really seen that kind of contact in the U.S. I mean, we probably have. It's just that we're not. And then I have one or two little issues. One of them is, wait, hold on a second here. Lost my train of thought there because somebody's knocking on my door on a live radio show.
That's what editing's for.
We live? Are you knocking? I have to put in my first that. Anyway. You realize I hear the keys, man. Oh, look. See, y'all leave me alone. Sorry about that, Sean.
That's all good, man.
Now, what the hell is the same? I got distracted.
We were talking about smartphones and how people are becoming more familiar and you know, they're more intelligent when it comes to looking for this type of thing. And you were talking about Rome 500 years ago, yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, when you look back through history, and I tell this to people all the time, if you're going to get into this field, the very first place you should start is in the ancient history. You will find all the way back, I mean, as far back as you can find written history, even further back than that, when you can find drawings and caves in the U.S. and in Europe, you will find reports of UFOs. I mean, what kills me is everything that you hear about prior to 200 years ago that's flying should knock down everybody, because here's an incident. There's a Middle Eastern war going on. This is about 800 years ago, or 900 years ago. And both sides describe this the same way. It was an ancient city. They'd been under siege for 3 or 4 months. It was just, nothing was going. It just wasn't going to stop. The siege was just going. But they weren't going to get into the city. Well, all of a sudden, one night, this shield-looking thing shows up and parks itself over the gate. They said it was just a giant shield hovering over the gate. A blue beam of light came down, blew the entire gate to smithereens, and then it left, and the army invaded and took the city. Now, I wouldn't have put much credence to the story, but it was reported by both sides. So it's hard to get away from that. And then you've got in London, you've actually got artists drawing things floating around in the skies in London.
Yeah, and
not just there. You got artwork from the Vatican that shows with people in them flying around. I mean, like I said, anything flying in the skies prior to 200 years ago should make people stand up and go, what the hell? Because the Wright brothers only invented airplanes 100 years ago. And I think the blimps, but hot air balloons have only been around about 250, maybe 300 years. So, you know, you have to go, what the hell is that? And then this wave got a story that even knows about things flying around the sky. Egyptians talk about it, the Dogon talk about it, the Sumerians talk about it, all the Mesoamericans and Native American Indians talk about it. So what the hell is flying all around the planet? It really seems like, until the time of Christ, that E.T. walked openly on this planet. without any really repercussions of any worries of any kind. Now, granted, they may have called them deities or demons or gods or whatever, but they were extraterrestrials.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the problems with today's religion, is we don't know how much of the religion today is based on ET and not God.
That's one of my questions I was going to bring up later in the show, is religion, the Bible, and UFOs and aliens, man. Very hot topic right now. Very hot.
Well, it is. It's a big topic, and it's an important topic because people write to me and say, "Oh, you don't believe in God." This has nothing to do with believing in God. Okay, you can believe in ET and believe in God. It's not that big of a deal, people. The problem is here, were we lied to? Because think about some of the miracles they talk about. Okay, Jesus walks on water. Well, ET does that all the time. They go hover over the thing, and the grays come out and hover, and they talk to the dolphins. Okay. Let's see, they wave their hand and magically heal people. Well, E.T. does that on a regular basis. We have many cases where stage 4 cancer people were healed overnight. So, I mean, those are biblical miracles. Well, let's see, feed the multitudes. I don't think it would be a big problem for E.T. to wash up a bunch of fish onto a beach and feed everybody. So there's nothing in what the biblical consider miracles that the E.T.s can't repeat. Hell, a lot of them we can repeat today.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of stop and think, was this technology? And then there's the real issue. Where was God prior to 2,500 years ago?
Very true. Very true.
Okay, where was he? Well, he was nowhere. So, and then there's the Christian's belief that the planet's only 6,000 years old, which is just moronic. We already know it's 4.5 billion years old. There's been life on it for almost 1 billion years. There's been 3 great mass extinctions. So it makes you wonder how much of what we were led to believe as children growing up and are taught to believe is God is actually ET.
Isn't it a wild world, Joe, that we live in right now? I mean, when you really think about these topics, by the same token, you got to think about this. Could there be a deception going on right now? Let's just say that some aliens are demons. Let's just assume that for a minute. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they ain't. But let's just assume that they are. Do you think that there could be a possible rapture scenario that may take place having to do with extraterrestrials taking us aboard their craft? Because you hear a lot of people out there, so-called light workers or channelers, a.k.a. contactees, that are saying I.C.A.R. or other known entities from outer space are going to visit us. They're going to intervene when a great cataclysm takes place on this planet. And some channelers are saying if we go aboard their ships, they'll take us away, they'll keep us safe. Do you think that could be the biblical rapture, or do you think that there could be a deception?
Well, there's probably both. There's probably a couple things going on here. One, it wouldn't be a big thing for ET to step in and take over, but here's something that we have to consider before we even get into this even much. If you judge extraterrestrials by their actions and what we know that's been going on, they haven't saved us and they haven't wiped us out. Let's be honest, Sean. Anywhere in the last 10,000 years, they could have enlightened us, united the planet under Rome or whoever, and we'd be a united planet now, probably 1,000 years more advanced than we are today. They didn't do that. But on the same token, they didn't wipe us out either. Okay, so this is hard for humans to understand. These agendas are more about them than they are about us. We're part of the alien agenda, but we are not the alien agenda. This is hard for humans to take. We're not the most important thing to them. We're just another tool that they're using to achieve their goals. And it's hard because, for humans, we're all self-important. Everything has to be about us. But we're not thinking of the grand scheme of a universe that's 15 billion years old. There may be things out there much bigger, much more powerful than us, and, have a need for something in us or with us or around us. Or because if what the Sumerians say is true, they're here because they directly interbred, at least 2 of the races directly interbred, and then later the Greys interbred. And one day their scale will become maybe the dominant species because now we have all 3 of them. We're part reptilian, part human, part gray, which means sooner or later, a billion years, 100 million years, we will far out evolve even the Greys with their huge big heads and their fantastic psychic abilities. Even then we will out evolve. We may even evolve into the light beings one day. Maybe that's what they're worried about. Not so much where we are today, but where we're going to be 100 million years from now. Because they don't really look at the universe the way we do. We have such short little lives. We're like, oh, shit. We're running around like ants because we're, 80 years, 100 years most we can. Ray may be 1 million years old, so he's not so much in a hurry. And they probably can clone or grow host bodies and just download their consciousness into it. So in the way we understand death, they probably don't anymore. And for your listening audience, our government, the U.S. government, is already working on growing host bodies, not clone bodies, growing bodies from sperm and egg, and downloading a human consciousness in it. The first experiment was a guy, he had a chip in his head that he was trying to get the chip to record his memories, which it did, by the way. And you could actually plug it into a computer and play his memories back.
No way.
Very interesting experiments. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right? This was like 1998. So this wasn't even, what we're talking about today. So this is something that our government has been working on, and they do think will be perfected within the next 20 or 30 years. Now, who will get to use it? Well, you probably know as best as I do. If you ain't got no money, you ain't got a shot in hell. But and then maybe one day it'll become standard procedure. When we start getting off-world colonies where the planet won't get overcrowded, then they might give it to everybody. But it is something we're working on, and it's not even a top-secret thing. It's been on Yahoo. It's been in a couple of places. You can check for yourself. So if we're working on that now with our limited understanding of how things work, think about a race that's 500 million years old, 700 million years old, 1.5 billion years old. Oh, hell, man, they're going to do this like it's nothing. Like it's nothing.
Now let's go. Let me just drift here just for a moment. Have you interviewed Travis Walton yet? I know you've won. Yes, I have. Okay, because I booked him, and he's going to be coming to Pittsburgh. That's me. I'm local. So I got him on the show. We're going to be broadcasting around that time. I've always wanted to talk to him. His experience is so freaking hellacious. I mean, just hearing that is scary as hell. And then you hear about cow mutilations. And now I understand. Look what we do to monkeys, and yet we're not evil people. We're doing all these different experiments, or we're just rounding cow up so we can eat. I mean, what about the people that are abducted by aliens and they're so scared? Some even claim to, in the name of Jesus, to get away from them, and it works by saying his name. I mean, you've done so much radio, Joe. You've done so many different programs. What do you think this is?
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. As far as we know, you can pray all you want. You can invoke Jesus' name all you want. It doesn't save you. I can tell you horrific stories about this. One girl laying on a bed, she started screaming, Jesus save me, Jesus save me, Jesus save me. The Grays took her eyes out of her head while she was awake and turned her around so she could see herself screaming for Jesus. Then put him back in her head and said, where's your God now? They don't believe in our God. I want to make that absolutely clear from the get-go. So invoking his name is not going to save you from them. You can try all you want. They may wipe the memory from your head because you panic so much, but don't think it saved you. I can tell you literally, we have tried everything we can think of. And I've got a lot of good Christians in the organization, by the way, a lot of good Christians, which give me hell, by the way. But they will tell you, God is not going to step in and intervene on your behalf with the extraterrestrials, probably because you're not praying to the right God.
Very.
There's a problem, a fundamental issue right there. We don't even know if we're right or wrong. So it's a hard thing to get going. And the fact of the matter is, and we've had more than that. One lady had an arm and a leg removed while she was away. Somebody else had that. They actually moved their spine. They actually put a thing over them so they could see their spine being removed and put back in. So
now that's evil. To me, that's evil. That's very, very negative.
Well, I think it is too, but when I asked the person, were you in any pain? Well, no. But, of course, the stress and fear level was beyond ridiculous. I mean, come on. I mean, you're watching this happen to yourself. How can it be anything else but unbelievable now? Then it comes to the point, was it actually real or was it Memorex? Did they physically actually do this to you, or did they just image it in your head like Memorex? Because we broke this a long time ago. People always used to tell me about shape-shifting aliens, and I got to thinking about it. Shape-shifting aliens means you have to be able to change the molecular structure of your body, shift the atoms. Not something even evolution is going to probably give to you unless you become like a light being, and that's a whole different story. But Greys, reptilians, tall, white, human aliens, they're all physical like we are. I just don't see them shape-shifting. But what I do see, and thanks to the Greys, we figured this out. A lot of times we'll get somebody who will tell us they see this, this, or that when they're being abducted. But we have mass abductions that happen, where, like in one, one Grey walks in, there's 6 people looking at the Grey, right? Each one reports it as something different. One said it looked like this beast. One said it kind of looked like a Bigfoot. One said it looked like this weird, ugly person. One said it looked like a reptilian. One said it looked like their dad. One said it looks like something else. So they're using your own head against you. They can make you think anything they want, and it's just as real to you as anything else on the planet is. It's what makes it so hard to find out what's actually truth and what actually is cover memories when it comes to...
I'll tell you what, Joe, that's some scary shit. I mean, it is. It is, man.
All the time.
Just thinking about that, man.
Do?
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? How many different races? I know you mentioned the Greys, the Reptilians, and it's very interesting that we got somebody in the room right now, the girl that you interviewed. She said she was taking a border craft. You said it was an interesting show. I'm starting to see why. I'm definitely starting to see why. But how many different races, based on all the research you've done, because you've been all over God's green planet covering this subject, how many races of alien beings do you believe are visiting our planet right now?
Well, according to crazy Dr. Greer, there's 54, but like I told him, you're going to have to show me some evidence for that. This is how we look at it. There's 4 basic abduction, 4 basic races abducting people. It's the Greys, which come in about 9 different sizes and about 3 different colors, which kind of shades in between. There's the tall humans, which is a variety of them, but they don't look just like us. This is how you know when someone's lying and tell you the truth. When they tell you that they see these absolutely gorgeous, beautiful humans that are just flowingly, no, they're full of it. One, the reptilians use that. We know this for a fact. The reptilians use these images to have their way with people. Even though they're not all that evil, it's just something they do. If you go look at the Egyptians and the Aztecs, you'll find out what the human aliens really look like. They were big, 7.5, 8 feet, probably 350, 400 pounds. But their head, their face was kind of like us, but still shaped a little bit different. But their heads were long, not big like the Greys, but they went backwards long, kind of like the thing from Aliens. Like the alien from Aliens. It was kind of like a head like that going backwards. And they had hair and all like that. And yes, they were buff and in good shape. But think about it, any astronaut, any real astronaut is going to probably be in good shape. It's probably the cream of their crop that's flying around the universe. But they don't look just like us, and their eyes are distinctively different colors than ours. So a true contactee is going to know that. That's why we have abduction criteria. Someone who's just blowing smoke up your butt is not going to know that because they're not going to have really been contacted. So it's one of these things we've learned a long time ago. We started doing comparison studies 20 years ago, and it's really the only way to get to what's really going on because there's so much lies between the aliens. There's so much misconception because humans have to interpret things by the way they were raised and what they truly understand, and then there's no lab abductions. And with all of this going on, it's hard for any normal person to grasp. Which we figured that a contactee gets at about 20% right on most occasions, and maybe the advanced keepers might get 30-35% of what's going on right. But other than that, we don't think it goes much further than that because a lot of it's just simply beyond us, Sean. It's beyond our understanding of the universe.
Oh, I agree. Let me ask you this, too. If an extraterrestrial race landed on the planet and they said, your sun is about to put off this major solar flare, it's dangerous for you guys to be here, we could bring you aboard the ship, take you away, or bring you back when it's safe. I want to ask you personally, Joe, would you go?
Probably after a size of dance. They could ask me to just go for a ride, I'd go, okay? But let's be honest about it. It didn't have to be a disaster. I'd get on and go for a ride. I'd be like, yeah, let's go check it out. Take it to another, what the hell's going on? Well, there's no reason, people all the time, they want to make it into this, but it doesn't have to be that for me because I am a curious individual. I love to travel to start off with, and I would love to see other worlds, and I've seen space many times, and I just find it gorgeous, so I wouldn't have any problem doing it. But I don't want to be somebody's dinner either, so you kind of have to make sure, who you're...
I don't know, man. I think I might be cooked on the earth. I don't think I'd go. I just don't think I would do it. There's something inside me, man, I will tell you right now. There's just something inside me that feels
here's
negative
one
towards that.
What happens if your other half decides she wants to go?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
What happens if your other half, let's say you decide you want to stay and your other half says, no, I'm going, baby. You still going to stay?
Oh, she's parked. She's parked in cement. She already said.
She got some cement galoshes on. Oh,
but you know what? I could be wrong, man. I could be completely wrong. You're right. We don't have a true understanding of what's going on. It's way above our heads, and we may never know in our lifetime. God willing, we do, though. I mean, for God's sakes.
Well, we're learning a lot. I mean, thanks to the way I.C.A.R got set up, and for some reason, the luck we have with finding contactees really has helped us in a lot of ways. And you know, I tell people we're a support group for people going through the awakening, people that are having contacts and don't know how to deal with it. But we're also a puzzle piece collector. You know, with more than 15,000 contactees, we have a lot of pieces of the damn puzzle. Now, granted, this puzzle's probably 1 million pieces or maybe 500,000 pieces or better, but we have a lot of pieces, and some of those pieces have started to fit together, like the Holocaust dream. This is what I meant to bring this up when you were talking about the raptures. This could be the rapture. We've got a third of our contactees that have this dream, Sean. This is what happens. We'll do the easy one that was in Houston. Family, it's a couple of people and their friends. It's a group that met online, that they hung out and they got together. Well, in the dream, or in the Holocaust dream, they had been riding around. Something had happened and people were dying, and they were all freaking out. And they were traveling when it happened. They were actually on the road. They were, I guess, meeting up with some people. And so they start driving. They drive into Houston. Well, they get to Houston. It's beautiful. The city looks like the city. But they notice the lights are working and all, but there's nobody driving. All the cars are parked, but there's no bodies or in the street or rampant fires or any of this stuff. No broken glass windows, no looting and stuff like this. So they're kind of freaked out. So they're driving along, and every now and then they would see maybe a car on fire or something, but nothing major. Well, they get to the other side of Houston. They're getting ready to get out on the interstate to head out, and they notice this heavy equipment being used, and they see some military people. So they're worried. So they're going to go over there. So they start heading over to the military, and they notice that they're actually doing mass grave burials. They're burying people in mass graves. What they think, and we don't know any of this sheer speculation, by the way, anybody listening, they describe what I would call a pandemic. And it seems like contactees and abductees and so forth are immune to it. And maybe some of the people that have been working with the mill labs, because there's a lot of government still running around, so they must be somehow or another been using the contactees to be immune to it. But, if the dreams are right, this is going to happen somewhere around when the population reaches between 9 and 10 billion people. And it's going to sweep through 75 or 80% of the population. Then they're going to start taking people off world, the colonies, setting up a new colony here, and reestablishing the planet for what the planet was actually for. It's hard to say. I mean, it's a full third of them, and it worries me because there's so many of them having this dream. But then, the other ones aren't having it, so I'm thinking, it's iffy, and it could just be a planet dream, mind you. It could be something just to throw researchers off. But it's serious, and if it happens, it ain't going to be pretty. Think about it. If you wanted to retake a planet, why blow it up? I mean, you're an alien race. You could easily engineer a virus that could go around and kill everybody except for the contactees. And then, boom, the planet's yours. No fuss, no mess, no problems.
Right.
Take it in and start inhabiting everything right there. Here's one for you. We know the reptilians lived on this planet for about 250 million years. They ruled. Now, it only took man to evolve 2 million years. And even if you said we started at the end of the last ice age, at the last extinction, we could say 63 million years, and then man evolved into what we are today. So in 250 million years, nothing intelligent evolved, right? See, a lot of people think the amphibian reptilians are from Earth. This is their planet. Everybody forgets about the map of the Creator, which dates back 120 million years. It's an aerial resource map. This map was buried 120 million years ago, and it wasn't buried 120 million. 120 million years ago, this map was made. It's a resource map of a valley from an aerial view. 120, and this is a fact. It's on the Purveda website even today. It's in Russia, and you can still find this thing today. No archaeologists contest it. Nobody really contests it. 120 million years. Now, we know humans were not on the planet 120 million years ago.
Right.
We weren't living with the dinosaurs. Even though some footprints are found, but they probably are reptilian footprints, are probably not human. In that they were bipedal, we just assumed it was humans. But this would show whoever it was 120 million years ago already had mastered flight. Now, if you were a race that started, say, 25 or 30 million years into the reptilian period, and you evolved over that 200 million years, you would be far in advance of what we are today. And then evolve for another 50 million years after that. So that's 300 million years of evolution. I don't know.
I got to ask you, Joe. We are 42 minutes into the program, believe it or not. Time's flying by. It always does.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to ask you this. Your personal experiences. Have you ever come across any extraterrestrials, or have you ever seen a UFO firsthand?
Oh, yeah. You ever hear the theme song for my show is called Six Gun Joe? That's actually the guy who wrote the song for me, or about me.
Oh,
no way. It's actually talking about a personal experience. It's the opening song for my show, and it really does talk about a personal account. But for me, it's a different thing. We run across stuff all the time. I mean, I didn't know I was a contactee when I got involved with this. I had no idea. I was a moron. I didn't know squat about squat. And somewhere 20 years ago, I'd been in the field about 10 years when I just started having, I've been asking all these questions to all these people for 10 years, and then one day I realized, I was sitting there talking to my wife, and I'm like, shit, like 3/4 of these questions, because she knew she was a contactee, but I started realizing that, damn, I'm answering 3/4 of these questions correctly. I'm thinking, and I already knew I was very empathic and telepathic, so I was like, damn. And then I remembered stuff from when I was a kid, like invisible friends and other weird stuff that happened in the woods and shit, and it started making me realize. But UFOs, speaking of that, I will have one of the UFOs I just filmed just 3-4 weeks ago will be on Fact or Faked on Sci-Fi sometime this month, by the way.
Ah, interesting.
So that's one I just filmed. We can cheat a little bit because we know so many contactees. We tend to have an idea where the real hot spots are. Like Pensacola, Florida. Contactees are drawn to Pensacola, Florida. They come there in the summertime by the hundreds, sometimes by the thousands. They're just drawn there. People come lose their whole week's vacation, don't even know what the hell happened to them. They're there. As far as they know, they had a good time, they left. But then, a lot of times what will happen is they'll start looking at their credit card bills and realize they didn't fill up the car, they didn't eat dinner for 5 days. And then they'll call the hotel and say, we didn't see you. We thought y'all were, off staying with friends or something. And so they're drawn down there. Well, knowing that lets us know that if you hang out down there for any length of time, you're going to get some footage of UFOs. It's pretty much that simple. Sometimes you might get more than that if you're careful, like the surfing aliens. We went out with a group of people. This was such a weird night, Sean. We go up. We were working with some contactees who were having problems adjusting. They had been living in one state and dealing with this, and they had gone to live in Texas and started having these weird, bad experiences with these human-type aliens. Well, they came to see me. They're like, I got to get out of my head. So there's a place in Alabama we call the null zone because it doesn't seem to be any extraterrestrial contact. As far as we know, there haven't even been a sighting in this area. And so all contactees tell me the same thing. When they pass through this area, they lose that feel of ET being in the back of the head. It's like it resets them. So anyway, make a long story short, we drove through there, and they felt this clean release. And so we said, well, while we're on this side of the country, let's drive on down to Pensacola, Florida, which is about 45 minutes from Alabama, or from where we were. And we get to Pensacola. We go out on the beach. We set up the little tent thingy, and we set up the chairs, and we're all sitting out there hanging out talking. And you see this weird glow in the water out about a quarter mile off the beach. And we're all of us at the same time. Everybody's like, what the hell? What the hell? What is this, man? What's going on here? And there's people people on the right of us. There was a bunch of guys out there running around naked. I don't know what that was about. There was two couples down on the left side of us doing the wild thing in the sand. There was another two couples down on the other side of us just hanging out. And all of a sudden you see this light just open up in the water, and the next thing you see these aliens, and it looks like grays surfing on the water. Well, what it was there was some kind of energy shield between their feet and the water. This goes back to walking on when Christ walked on the water. There was some kind of energy shield between them and the water. Not only were they on top of the water, but they were moving on it like they were surfing it. And they would ride the wave to the beach. When they got to the beach, they weren't actually riding the wave, they were just going across the top of the water. When they got to the beach, they took the people on the right side of us. And when we looked to the left, they were standing there taking them. And when we looked behind us, there was 4 grays behind us getting these 8 guys who had been running around naked and taking them. So we actually witnessed this whole abduction, the whole bunch of us. I can tell you now, on that particular stretch of beach, which is about 11 miles, we have gone down there on at least 24 occasions, sometimes with up to 15 people, and have seen aliens, not UFOs, but aliens.
What is it about that area?
It's just a hot area, and Eglin Air Force Base is right there too. Eglin Air Force Base is the largest non-nuclear testing facility in the United States. It tests everything except for nuclear weapons. Everything goes through there. It has some of the more classified covert operations run out of there. And we know that there's a big, huge underground facility there because we've been in it. Not only us, other people have been in it. I can't tell you how many people have described this facility in Florida. I can't even imagine, can't even begin to tell you how many. I think up to date, more than 100 people that we know personally have been in this underground facility. And so we know it's there, and we know ET's been using it. And if you really go down there, and if you're an experiencer when you go down there, you're going to have an experience, is all I can say. But I got another problem too, that I don't think everybody sees UFOs. I don't think that every average day Joe Smo sees UFOs. I don't think it works that way. I think you have to be pre-treated to see it. Well, to make this an easy thing for most people to understand, we'll take the Mexico City sighting. 1 million people seen a UFO in Mexico City, the largest sighting I know of. 1 million people. There was something like 10,000 hours of videotape taken. This thing hovered over Mexico City for 24 hours. Matter of fact, there was a movie used it because some birds flew into it and then fell on the ground. That's how they found out it was.
Signs.
Yeah, they actually used this because the sighting was back in the 90s. I think it was somewhere between 95 and 98. It might be between 92 and 97. It was somewhere up in there. But, so 1 million people seen it. Well, there's 22 million people in Mexico City. Why did only 1 million people see it? Now, it was lucky for us that the police chief seen it, the mayor seen it, the fire chief seen it, several pastors and clergymen had seen it, and even videotaped it. So you had excellent witnesses with excellent videotape, but it doesn't explain why the other 21 million people did not see this thing. Like the O'Hara sighting. Why did only 6 people in the airport see it? Same thing with the New York City sightings. Why did only a handful of people see it in a city that has 10 million people living in it?
Now, Joe, why doesn't...
hit by airplanes, you know they're looking up. What the hell?
Yeah, why doesn't the government release this information? They know they're real.
The government don't want to give it up.
Why? Is it dominance?
Why would they? I mean, they get a lot. What they're getting out of this is debatable, and everybody agrees. No one knows for sure. We know that they're not getting as much as everybody thinks they are, or they wouldn't be military abductions. I mean, why abduct a contactee if you already know what's going on? So they're taking abductees because they don't know much more than we do. Yeah, they have gotten their hands on technologies. We know that much because we've seen jumps and leaps here and there. Now, is ET giving it to them? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the government is looking for stuff. And this is power. This is advanced technology. It's not just power over American citizens. It's power over everybody over the planet. You ever notice that the U.S. in the last 2 decades has kind of taken a nonchalant approach to the rest of the world? Like, we don't give a shit what y'all are doing. What, Russia bite me, China bite me, we don't care. Look, even we owe China $3 trillion. We told them to kiss our ass. Now, why would we do that? I mean, China has nukes. Russia has nukes. Yeah, we're building a missile defense shield, but Obama don't really seem too keen about deploying it. So we're vulnerable, right? Well, we should be vulnerable. Well, if the TR-3Bs are real, like everybody says they are, Russia and China ain't never going to challenge us. We have planes that are supersonic, that can cross the planet in a matter of minutes, carrying large payloads. So why would you even tempt fate? And they're stealth. They're too fast to be shot down. They fly too high and too fast to be shot down, and their accuracy rate would be incredible. So why would you even try to challenge? So maybe they know. So you're not going to give up those kind of advantages. And frankly, I've said this 100 times. If you want the government to come clean, what are you going to give them? What are you going to give the government? They're going to want something.
It's going to come down to a moment where there is full disclosure by the ETs actually showing up en masse. That's the only way.
That's the only way. That's the only way, because let's say tomorrow that Barack Obama decided that he was going to say aliens are visiting the planet. Okay.
And he was talking about transparent government, but I mean, I haven't seen too much of that.
But look how he handled the Bin Laden thing. Okay, he goes over and kills Bin Laden, but then he throws him off the ship in the middle of the night with no evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now, the other day I'm listening to the German chancellor speak, because 4 of Bin Laden's wives said that wasn't him, that was one of the 40 body doubles. So now, Europe's challenging it. They're like, well, wait a minute. These people are saying it wasn't him, it was somebody else. And then they're saying they had his DNA. Well, where'd they get his DNA from? They couldn't find the man until that one day. Where the hell did he get his DNA?
There you go. Yeah, I've learned never to trust our government.
But the point being is, if he came out and said that ETs are real, about half the people would believe in our country, and about half wouldn't. The rest of the planet, like the Chinese and India, they're still too religious. They're gonna think he lost his mind. Unless ET shows up, there's no real way to convince people until ET shows up, because, frankly, I don't see the Buddhists or the Hindus or even the Jews or the Muslims ever thinking aliens are real until they show up. I know the Christians and the Baptists and them, or the Christians, have kind of come loose now and said, yes, there could be extraterrestrials. And now the Vatican has twice come out and said, yes, there is extraterrestrials. So that's fine, okay? We can deal with that, but that's still, the Jews haven't come out and said that. The Muslims aren't saying that. And I'm not picking on anybody's religions, because I understand you have to evolve to get there. And I have friends in every religion, by the way. It even amazes me. I've got friends in religions I didn't even know existed. I have to be honest with you. It's kind of weird. Well, like I just seen an IM pop up. This came from the other room. It's, do I have Muslim friends? Yes, I actually have several. And you can go on my page and find that out. I mean, I've got 7 Facebook pages. You can go ahead and find out for yourself. I don't discriminate against religion, color, or sex, and I never will. It's not who I am. I have a firm rule. You're either an asshole or you're not.
Very true, Joe. And let me ask you this, bud. You've investigated so much of the UFO phenomena. How has this changed your life? Let's go back to when you were 19 years old, okay? You're 19. You're just a stupid teenager, probably out there boozing away. What is it now? How has your life changed from coming in to investigating this so deeply? Where has it brought you?
Well, it's brought me, let me put it a different way. Just what I've spent since Katrina on this and the radio station, I could have retired on, okay? Just to put it in perspective, if you take everything I've spent in the last 30 years, if I would have been investing in it, not only would I be retired, but I'd be living quite comfortably. So it's that financially, that money comes out of my family's mouth as well. Not that I make them do without for it, but still, it is money. Like I have a son, he'd like an inheritance. Oh, Dad's spending inheritance on ET. So it's one of those things that it's. And I warn people about this, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I warn people heavily about this all the time. People write to me, I want to know the truth, I want to know the truth, I want to know the truth. I said, do you really? Because once it's out of the box, there ain't no putting it back. You can try, but you ain't never getting it back in the box. You can try, you can even hide from it. You may even be able to hide from it for a few years, but it's going to come back and bite you right square in the ass. Because once it's open, you can't escape it. Once you realize that this is real, it's over with. It has taken your life over. It will be a consuming part of your life forever until they put you in a box or put you in an urn or wherever they're going to put you. or even if ET takes you, it's going to be part of your life till then. And to help out contactees that may be listening or may hear this on archive, hiding from it, running from it, denying it is only going to hurt you. I know a lot of contactees who went through hell, through big-time addictions from alcohol, drugs, sex, you name it. They were addicted, and in massive ways. All kind of problems, work problems, you name it, criminal problems. It's about 55% of contactees go through this because they don't know what's going on in their life. But I'll tell you another secret. Once a contactee hits the awakening and understands this and knows that they're empathic and telepathic and learns how to start to use this to enhance their lives just develop overnight. I can't tell you how many people have changed overnight. I can't tell you how many people have written to me personally and told me, thank you, you have saved my life. Well, I couldn't tell you if I did or if I didn't, but the fact that many people are writing to me does tell me we are making a difference. It's not just me. It's a lot of people that work with us, and not just the organization, even associates and friends of ours. There's a lot of people out there doing good work, trying to help people. And it's an all-consuming part of your life, and until you make it just that part of your life, it will eat you alive. That's what we tell abductees who may be going through the dream phase, where they're starting to have these weird dreams trying to get into the awakening. We will tell them, put it in the box, leave it alone, ignore it. Because once you go there, here's another one for you. Most of the bad stuff for contactees happens between puberty and ages 28, up to about 30. After that, contact changes. So, when we do regression work, people ask me all the time, well, I want to know what happened then. Well, do you really? Do you really want to know about missing body parts or reptilians jumping and humping or any of that? Do you really want to know any of that stuff? Do you want those kind of memories in your head? Because some people are not going to be able to deal with that, period.
Do you think they take notice of you noticing them?
Oh, yeah, we know they do. Here's one. Here's a good one for you. Until about, and I.C.A.R. broke this, by the way. This is an I.C.A.R. exclusive. Up until about 1995, 1996, missing time was a standard thing for finding out if someone's an abductee. Missing time rarely happens now. Now you hear about even time or gain time or things like that, but you don't really hear about missing time often. Because ET realized that we were finding out information about them and tracking them through the contactees because of the missing time. So they actually adjusted their behavior because of us, which tells you they're fully and functionally aware of what's going on out here. I found out one of the most fascinating parts of this, that they actually changed the way they did things because of us. And it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time. There's other things they have done because of researchers' noses being directly involved in their business. They will try to throw you off the scent. Not everybody, mind you. If you're a researcher that happens to be a keeper, they'll let you kind of work along the right lines, or the right lines that you might think. I don't want to ever suggest that ET doesn't lie, because they do. So everything we talk about and everything we do has to be taken with a grain of salt, because frankly, the whole damn thing could be a lie. The only reason we can't blame it on the government is because we know it's been going on the planet for 10,000 plus years. It could have been up to way longer than that, but we'll just say 10,000 plus years. So we know it's not the U.S. government or the Italian or the French or the German or the Spanish or the Russian or the Chinese or the Indian governments. This isn't them. These are actually extraterrestrials. So
now, Joe,
gotta kind of go with it like that.
We're almost out of time, so I wanted you to talk a little bit about your Paranormal Radio Network. What kind of shows can people expect to listen to on there, and how do they do it?
Well, actually, guys, you can go to www.paranormalradionetwork.com. That's the home site, which is there's a new one going to go up pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. I know we're going to be reviewing it pretty soon. And then anywhere in there, there's lots of ways to listen to us, Ustream. If you're in Europe or overseas, there's other ways to listen to us, but those are listed on servers overseas. So if anybody listens to the American audience, or that's going to be going to the paranormalradionetwork.com, Ustream, Livestream, Live 365, Pal Talk. There's a Shoutcast, a few other venues besides that. The podcasts are up. They're free. It's paranormalradionetwork.org. It's a podcast. Or you can use upnrn.org. That works as well. There's lots of ways to get to us. The network, there's a lot of different shows these days. We syndicate shows from other networks. Live shows like Kevin Smith, he's on in the evening times. UFO on the Covers on Wednesdays. Second Sight NYC, which is a paranormal Actually, Chris is a psychic medium. His girlfriend Stephanie, or his friend Stephanie, is a good investigator. So they really do a good show. A matter of fact, they were on tonight just before I came on here. They were on. Before that show, Friday night in the afternoon is Karen Dolan, Richard Dolan's wife. She hosts Through the Keyhole. After that is a Global Focus, which is Tree Sheridan. She's an outstanding host. She's also I.C.A.R's pro bono attorney and our Washington, D.C. director. So she fills a big, huge job for us. On Saturday, there's a new show coming in, there's also, on Friday night, once a month, there's Change in America, too, which is a political satire show, so you can catch it out. And then on Saturday, there is Voice of the People, and...
I remember that one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they got a new host on it because November retired. And matter of fact, she's fighting breast cancer, so everybody sent her yells.
Oh, man, God bless her.
But she retired, and they took over. And Monday night is we got Rob Simone doing the day. We have Whispers Radio, which is out of AM out of South Carolina. They're on at 5. Then Threshold Radio, which is out of Illinois, is on after them. Then The Mind Cemetery with Chip and Nicole comes on after them, and then Kevin Smith comes on after them. And then Tuesdays is at Dawn of Shades and Kevin Smith. So come by, check them out. There's lots of shows. And there's other shows besides that are in the queue, like Midnight Highways. All of Dawn's old shows are in the queue. They do play randomly on the station from time to time. Eventually, we will put official radio thing in so everybody knows when they play, but his old shows are on there, and there's other old shows from the network, from other shows that are no longer with us, like the Joyner Report from Angela Joyner. They're her all up in there. Jerry Pittman shows in there as well, and there's other shows even besides that. So there's lots of material there. There's literally right now in the queue, there's 10,000 hours of research and archives. And there's another 10,000 hours in my other queue that I keep as an auxiliary because the audio is not as good as the old days, and we had a lot of audio issues in the old days, but that's another. So there's literally 20,000 hours of audio for people to listen to.
How the hell do you keep up with this?
Huh?
How do you keep up with this?
Oh, man, I keep up with it, trust me. I want to know what's going on where. And these days we have really good shows that are really good. And now that I know you back in business, I'll get you, once you get going, send me up your archives. We'll get them back on the network for you.
Hey, I'd appreciate that.
That way that'll draw a little bit more attention. Matter of fact, if you make me a promo, I'll put it in our promo queue. And I can run with everybody else. Between every show, we run, promos for other shows on our networks and other networks. And, it's always nice to share. And I like people getting in the radio.
Oh, of course.
Lots of opinions. I like lots of research. The more the merrier. People all the time say, what's competition? No, not really. A lot of these people are friends of mine. It's not competition. I enjoy helping out other networks.
Yeah, actually, Joe, you actually propelled me into it, my friend. You actually you got me into it, man. And I have to admit, I haven't drank in about 2 years now. And I remember my first show going on with you, I was 9 deep.
But you see, you learn from that kind of stuff. You grow, you expand.
Yep.
I actually, the radio station's a good thing for me. It keeps me alive, it keeps me entertained at night, keeps me from going out. When I was young, I used to party my happy, off.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, I live in New Orleans. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week city, man, that encourages you to get effed up out of your mind.
Yeah. Now, let me just say this real quick, or you'll be the one saying it. At the end of the show, I always like to give my guests the opportunity to say anything they want to anybody out there listening right now, and then the show will be concluded. So, Joe Montaldo, what is your final word to anybody out there listening right now?
Well, guys, if you're listening to my voice or you're listening to the archive, I would encourage you, if you've had an experience, you think you've had an experience, you think you've had contact of any kind, www.ICAR1.com. Go there, meet one of our researchers, join us in one of the Power Talk virtual auditoriums. But that is what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. We are really, truly here to help people through the awakening. That's what we do.
All right, Joe, I appreciate you coming on my show, man. Anybody in the room right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unlock the mic so anybody can speak. But God bless you, man, and hopefully November gets well.
Yeah, I am. I'm praying for it every day. Thanks, Sean.
Yep. Good night, my friend. You can always visit us at www.themidnighthighway.com. Take care, guys.